The perception of objects changes from inside a moving vehicle. Theorist Ian Borden describes how trees, buildings and other vehicles all look different. They often take on the appearance of a purposeless beauty, whereby objects are divorced from their original context or function, and so appear as items of non-contextual contemplation. After the move to Poland in 2011, the journey between Berlin and Poznan became a regular commute. A new intercity express coach service, launched in the same summer of that year, offered cheap, quick and comfortable connections between Poland's biggest cities as well as 4 major European capitals. With the option of 2 departure times, the bus service became one of the most practical and cheapest modes of transport, essential for a long-distance relationship between the 2 countries. It was during this time of travelling and gazing out of bus windows that the changes of the transit route between the German border and Poznan became most apparent. Watching the passing scenery through the windscreens and windows, the journeys became a reflective experience. In Borden's words, "Through this frame, landscapes become fragmented by driving, rendered into a series of discrete objects, vistas and markings, but also then reconnected and resynthesized as a sequence, a specific narration, constructed by the particular driver or passenger." Not so long ago I discovered that plans for a Berlin-Poland motorway existed as early as the 1930s, when the Reichsautobahn was intended to connect Berlin with Poznan. Traces of it were once visible in satellite photographs, but have now mostly disappeared following the construction of the modern motorway. Later, in the 1970s, preparations for the A2 motorway were formulated in communist Poland, with the aim of completing it in time for the Moscow Olympics in 1980. But it was not until the Euro Football Championships of 2012 that a large stretch of the road was officially open to the public. In the early days of my travels in 2011, after crossing the German-Polish border, the bus would follow the national road number 92, which ran through the villages and towns Moski, Tojim and Świebodzin, and eventually stopped at its first destination in Poznan. Since the opening of the new motorway between Swiecko and Nowy Tomyśl on 1st of December 2011, the bus now only drives along the A2, avoiding the many roadside attractions and services available for travellers along the older route number 92. This has effectively become a back road for drivers wanting to avoid paying road toll, most of whom are long-haul lorry drivers. The route is closer to the stereotype of Polish roads as dangerous and in poor condition. The stretch is a form of in-between space, neither representative of Poland nor of Germany. German scholar Karl Schlögl describes this type of main road as a narrow corridor. The flow of trucks doesn't stop, runs day and night. The majority of the stretch runs through towns and small market villages whose streets were built in a time before trucks existed. Mobility has shaped its environment, the corridor and all its attendant features. There are car parks, petrol stations, service areas, hotels, bars and restaurants. Sandwiched between lorries and cars, the bus from Berlin to Poznan used to take up to 5 hours to reach its destination. The journey also included a 40-minute break, during which passengers and bus drivers could enjoy a cooked meal or beverage in the restaurant The Golden Grotto, as well as visit the local shop next door. The National Road offers an abundance of such eateries. This is one of the tamer roadside venues. Among the most unusual are the Safari Zoo and the Nevada Pyramid, the peak of which is even visible from the motorway. In conversation with the waitress, she boasted that there are at least 3 of these pyramids in the whole of Poland, the one closest to the western border being the largest. The 92 has features that mimic the layout of the commercial strip in Las Vegas, developed in a virgin desert. Its road signs make verbal and symbolic connections through space, communicating a complexity of meanings through hundreds of associations in a few seconds from far away. Scale is a recurrent theme along the route. Billboards and symbols, or odd architectural shapes, continually compete for the driver's attention. The National Road is marked by what architectural scholars call architecture of persuasion. It quickly becomes apparent that the sign is more important than the architecture. The sign at the front is a vulgar extravaganza, the building at the back a modest necessity. Sometimes the building is the sign. Alongside scantily clad plastic replicas of women attached to balconies of roadside nightclubs, one of the largest monuments of Jesus is also visible from the 92. Its huge dimensions make it a popular tourist attraction, summoning people to the town of Swiecko. Besides abandoned buildings, the gradual disappearance of the garden gnomes, which once characterised the road trip to the German border, is perhaps one of the most telling signs of change. Now the few remaining stalls seem like relics from the 1990s, the decade during which sellers of gnomes enjoyed their heyday. Initially they were bought for the garden plots of East Germany, and then, following the fall of the war, by visiting West Germans. The demand for such garden kitsch has since diminished. Manufacturers in Nowa Sól now cast animals and Catholic figurines in an attempt to attract the taste of Polish buyers. The ciphers of Western culture in this Eastern European landscape make the journey an intriguing but melancholic experience, reminiscent of another decade. The act of crossing from one side of a border to the other remains dramatic on the 92. Thanks to the modern motorway, the differences are becoming less distinct.
I z filmu Żywot Briana przy okazji można sobie przypomnieć. Na przedwiośniowe smuteczki ten film w sam raz. Będzie też grupa Cranberries.
A to dla tych, którzy właśnie lubią się lekko zadumać. Fantastycznie duma się z The Cranberries i When You're Gone. Spróbujcie jeszcze przed 17.